And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to Nordic Masters 2024. My name is Will Hall, better known in the sense of Will Hall EXP. But this round, I'm joined for the first time this weekend by Andreas Peterson. We're going to take you
through. Good to
see
you, Will.
It's good, right? It's good. You know, we were just like this throughout the night, all day, all weekend.
Yeah.
But we've been seeing lots of great magic, and we've got another one set up here. Let's get down to it. Let's give them the thumbs up and start this game in the semi-finals. Top four, remember, play draw dependent, depending on where you came in the standings, which means Christensen will be on the play exactly where the Boros deck wants to be.
This definitely quite lucky here, getting in top 8 at 6th place, but then getting paired against the 7th place in the semifinal. So just like Oscar drew it up.
So they both beat the highest seeds above them in the top 8, now in the top 4. Starting off with an Oscar's Pride. Great one drop, especially if it goes unchecked.
Oh, definitely. This is an army in a can snowball. Worth noting is that there's Orcus Bowmasters in Johannes' deck, so let's see if he can find a good card to line up against the Ocelot.
I'm actually having a little look to see what sort of cards are good. So I see 3 spell snares in the main. No Toxic Deluges in the main. They are in the board. So maybe once we get to that point, it'll be a little bit harder, an uphill battle for Christian.
Yep.
But until then, it looks like they're at least getting one hit in with this Ocelot's Pride. What's going to be the follow-up?
Yeah, so now Oscar has to think about the card Spell Snare, right? Mm-hmm. So if he has 2 options, you might want to play the second best option out first. If you predict that it's going to get eaten by a Spell Snare, but it looks like it's actually a pass of the turn here.
This is interesting, right? So we had to let it go to the end step, because if we did this before the end step, that means that Christian would have had an opportunity to play a 2-drop this turn. So we had to wait to the end step, wait till the trigger happens. Once the trigger happens, we then fatal push it, get it off the battlefield. But that also can give some evidence away of what's in the hand, right?
Definitely. There's a lot of information getting traded here. So with Johannes' way of playing here, he's also representing Spell Snare very well, even if he does not have it, since he waited on the Fatal Push. Oscar could also saying, I'm respecting the Spell Snare, but he could also be saying, I don't have a 2-drop at all. Like, we don't have any way to know for sure, but the players are putting together the clues as we speak.
So also interested in things like Blood Moon in this matchup. You know what I mean? We saw us just start off on our planes. On the other side, just a couple of dual lands. We're very greedy in Modern at the minute. And that's another reason why we see this Boros deck doing extremely well, is because of Blood Moon. Being able to power it out as early as turn 2 sometimes off a Raptor. But even in this scenario here, just if it came down, it could completely lock out our Dimir Merc type player. Yeah,
we have seen this matchup, me and Joel, throughout the weekend. And Blood Moon has been very situational, meaning that sometimes it just shuts down the game. Sometimes the Dimir Merc type player can proactively fetch out some basics and mitigate its effectiveness. So very, very high variance card, I'll say. Not just 3-mana Haymaker, but varied results, I'll say.
So Surveil on the stack. I see Lightning Bolt, Garang, Discharge in the hand, as well as 2 others. Can't quite make them out yet. But do we like this top card? Do we want to draw it? No, it is going to be a Johnny going to the graveyard. Arguably one of the more powerful 2-drops in the deck, but maybe thinks isn't going to resolve.
So I think Oscar's mindset here is, I just want to make Spell Snare a dead card and most likely follow up with a 3-drop here or 2 1-drops. Basically just dodge the Spell Snare and make it a dead card in Johannes' hand. Question is if he can do that throughout the game, because Spell Snare is also fine on turn 7.
I see Blood Moon in hand. I see Bone Crusher Giant as well. I don't see a 3rd land, which could be a problem. I do on the other side see though Spell Pierce in the hand, in the grip. See Archmage's Charm. I think I'm supposed to say double Spell Pierce actually.
Yeah, Spell Pierce is another hit or miss card. If you get to counter, the One Ring, a Blood Moon, or Fable, stuff like that, you're the king of the world. But there's also a game where you just simply don't have a good window to cast and resolve Spell Pierce.
It's good that you mentioned the One Ring there. Christian is playing Christensen is playing the One Ring in their deck, the full 3 copies. We've seen this a little bit more, moving forward in these in the Boros decks, like the iteration of it changing. It was a lot of Fables. Fables have now turned to the One Rings. We're now seeing the Prisons turn into Chains to the Rocks. It's really good that this deck's still evolving, even though it's kind of one of the most solid decks in the meta.
Yeah, it's a good point that within the energy, established core, there's been plenty of innovation. And I think the One Ring is the big one, where it's basically, okay, what prevents us from playing the One Ring and turn it into a deck that can play even longer? So you keep the fast aggro draws, but you just add so much for the late game.
It comes into question, right? This deck normally plays, 22 land? Let's see how many Christians playing. I say Christensen, Oscar's playing in this deck. He's playing a 23 land. Okay, so
Yep.
one more than I'd say is normally seen.
I think it makes a lot of sense. You generally want to make your land drop. Well, in an ideal world, all the way up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think a friend of mine once told me you need to play 24 lands if you want to make your first 4 land drops. There's some kind of math involved here, so that makes a lot of sense. That you're almost at 24 for a deck like this.
Is that friend Frank Carsten?
That friend is not Frank Carsten,
Ooh, okay.
but maybe he studied Frank Carsten's work, copied his homework.
Frank does know a lot. Here comes Bank Discharge. Remember, no extra energy at the minute.
Yeah.
So if we do discard 2 cards, we will just add the free energy. We won't have to spend it. You do have to react to the spell before it resolves.
Yeah, definitely good point here. We have seen some very well-timed dilemmas.
We've got Spell Pierce in hand, though.
We got Spell Pierce in hand here. So do you want to, Spell Pierce the card, or do you want to discard 2 other cards?
So what's the upside? If we discard 2 cards, yeah, we're 2 cards down. Or if we Spell Pierce here, it means the shields are down. If something like a Blood Moon, etc., comes down this turn, a powerful free drop, we don't have an answer.
Great point here, and that was the question that Johannes had to ask himself. Do I want to let go of 2 cards and also grow his frog, right? Because it doesn't grow when you counter with Spell Pierce. Or do you actually like my hand enough that I'm willing to do this? Especially seeing Oscar just missed the land drop the previous turn.
Oscar drew the land this turn, so
Yep.
it's going to be interesting how he wants to deploy that. At least I think it was land. I think it was some sort of shock land.
Okay.
It had white and red on it.
Okay.
Could mean anything.
That could be, Arid Mesa. Could even be the Elegant Parlor, which would be annoying, the second copy.
Oh, yeah, that would be annoying. There is a slight downside to these Surveil lands when you're trying to play an aggressive deck. As you must know, like we are turning to the mid-game here. But no, it is a Sacred Foundry.
Yep.
We will take the 2 life, and are we slamming that Blood Moon? Other option is Stomp plus Lightning Bolt, or just hard cast the Bone Crusher Giant.
Yeah, I would imagine, I was about
Boom.
to say maybe we want to deal with the frog while we can, but it actually looks like Oscar is in the market for shutting down Johannes' ability to cast Murktide Regent, which is the best upside of casting Blood Moon into a board with exactly 1 island.
So I've really seen this quite a bit in my time. Is that a lot of people think that we've locked them out of Blood Moon. No, all we've done is turn their hand into +1/+1 counters, and this frog inevitably just ends up winning the game by itself because it grows so big.
Yep.
We need to hit a prison, and we need to hit it now so we can get this frog, stop it hitting us, stop the cards or being a thing.
It's a great point. I've seen it out of the Dimir Murktide deck. I've seen it out of the Glorious Vengeance deck. The opponent can have all sorts of hate pieces, but the frog reigns supreme and can even beat, and I would even say excel in those kind of scenarios.
Johnny found for the turn. Now, does that change anything? A Johnny flipped, of course, can do a bunch of damage the more creatures we've got, but we are lacking on them currently.
Yeah, definitely. This could look like it's turning into a race. The problem is the Orcish Bowmasters and its best friend is actually a very, very good road bump here while the frog is eating away at Oscar's life total. I'm not sure if is Johannes' graveyard empty at the moment. Is this his exile pile over there? I think it is.
I think it's graveyard, right? I don't think we've exiled anything yet.
Okay, so I just assumed he would give his frog flying the previous turn.
Well, I'm also happy to tap my frog in, get the Guided Souls off the other side of the battlefield. I'm not entirely sure it's favorable, but we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe you offer that trade any day of the week, and after no blocks were declared, that's where we saw the pump. So makes a lot of sense as well.
This is where things are going to get a little bit more complicated because we can't block a cat, and we don't really want to attack into a cat. So maybe we are going to be forced to keep it flying moving forward.
Yeah, now we're looking to do some good math here and try and close out the game in a reasonable amount of turns from the point of view of the Dimir Murktide deck, because the Boros engine is starting to turn up here.
Here's a consider. Look at top card. We don't want it. We're going to put it into our graveyard. Draw a blind one. It is was that the spell land, the one that can bounce opponent?
Yeah, I think
Sink
sink into stupor.
Sink the stupor. That's it.
And I think that's not exactly the blue source that Johannes was hoping for.
There's the 3 cards being exiled. 3 land. Don't want them. Give the frog flying.
Yep. Flying frog, and now you have to do some clever math here and kind of try and predict the next turns down the line. So I guess
we're going for it. 1, 2, 3. Pinning this up to a 7. So what's this going to be? A 2-turn clock?
This is now a 5/6 getting in.
6/7. 6/7.
Oh, 6/7. Got it. 5+ counters. Putting the opponent's life total to 11. We don't have the ability, though, we don't have lethal next turn.
So we go up to 3 cards, 3 more cards, puts it to 9, so no, that's not lethal.
But we're mitigating some life loss ahead of time, if that makes sense. Life gain, rather. We're mitigating the opponent's ability to gain life ahead of schedule because it's permanent counter. So it's more damage now, more damage next turn, and it kind of spirals like that.
Remember, this guide of souls on the battlefield. Every creature that does enter will also gain us life as well as energy. So that's another way to kind of help us in the race situation. Was that Flage off the top?
Flage can definitely make things interesting here.
Is that a Flage or a land? Might be a land more, I'm looking at it now. Meaning that we just got the Bone Crusher and Lightning Bolt. Again, helps us with the race.
Yep. Yeah, this game is quite interesting. It all has to do with the frog. If the frog leaves the battlefield, the Boros deck is firmly in control. But for now, it can look a bit dicey for Oscar.
I'm being told that Thomas won game 1 in our backup feature match table, mulled it to 5, but was able to keep a hand with Besage, which got rid of the Ruby Medallion, which brought enough time to be able to win with the Samwise combo. So they are currently 1 up, 1 game away from seeing them in the finals today.
Yep.
Remember, that is the Emilio combo, the brew that is doing well right now in this tournament, Nordic Masters 2024. 3 mana. Hardcast the Bone Crusher Giant. We're racing.
Yeah, we're definitely racing. We don't have time to spend 2 mana on a shock here. We want to, put heavy hitters onto the board and do our best to set up on capitalizing, finding the static prison, which I think is going to be Oscar's out. One Ring is also a card that would let Oscar race profitably. But yeah, the clock is really on.
So we can hit 2+1+ encounters plus a flying counter on one of our creatures. I guess it's going to be the Guide of Souls in this situation. You want to get in there with that 2/1 cat. If they block it, great. I'm going to flip my Ajani. If they don't, sweet. I'm getting 2 more points damage in.
Yeah.
And they still can't attack back with these 2/1/1s because I have got the Ajani.
I agree with that analysis. You could be there yourself next time and play the semifinals.
I play a lot of this Boros deck. That is my current deck in Modern.
Nice.
And not since the bans though. I haven't found a deck that I want to play. I feel like I might go back to Yargmoth for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I might be trying this Marsa deck that we saw in the top 8. I might go and jump across and play some Samwise.
Oh yeah.
I need to find a deck, and I'm out there. I'm brewing.
All of those great options to have. I'm more in I'll play blue-black frog, so I'll try and react to all of those decks you just mentioned.
Look, we've been talking about it all weekend long. Is it the best creature currently in Modern? It's hard to argue against it.
Yeah, for sure. I think me and Joel narrowed it down to it's the best creature of all time, or it's Deathrite Shaman. Those two are the top 2.
Ooh, is chat got involved in this? Chat, let us know what is a better card than Deathrite Shaman or Frog, Psychic Frog.
Yep. I'm very interested in that as well.
If no one can pinpoint, say a card better than that, then we're just going to have a vote on which one's better and just settle it today before the top 8.
I'm ready for sure.
But we're ditching a couple more cards to the Frog, growing it to an 8 powered, 9 toughness. This is a big Frog.
It sure is.
Someone cast Giant Growth on this, and it is huge.
Giant Growth for sure. A big leap here by the Frog, getting in there for a bunch of damage, drawing Johannes another card, and Oscar's next draw step needs to deliver.
I'm hearing Uro is a better creature. I'm hearing that Lurrus is a better creature.
Lurrus is in my top 5 as well. Maybe top 3.
Yeah, but you play a lot of Vintage.
Okay, yeah.
That's it's quite still very relevant to you. They make Frogs better than Uro. It's interesting. It's good that we've got these varieties. But if we're talking about ban cards being on the same level as Frog,
yep.
Are we now start thinking that maybe Frog's too powerful for Modern?
Things change. I would even argue that Uro would be fine. It's very...
To be fair, Uro was in...
look at this, Will.
That is exactly what we want to see off the top, but it is not going to resolve. Force and Negation is going to deal with that stacked prison, spoiling the fun here.
Free spells don't seem to care about Blood Moon.
Can we get enough damage in this turn, though? We've got no energy. There are 2 blockers, and nothing is... I think we've got no energy. But I can't see any +1/+1 encounters. So, oh no, I can. Yeah, it's the cat token. So that's 4.
The cat token is a 4/3.
We can then get 5 damage across. Plus this lightning bolt is 8. Maybe we've got to hope there's some bad. Or we can hold back the flyer and just block. That also makes sense.
Right, with the flying counter.
Hold on. What if we attack with everything? That gets blocked. That gets blocked. And 5 comes across. We then lightning bolt our own cat. We make a flip. Shoot, I think we just short no matter how we cut it up here. And Oscar's a good enough player that he's going to know that.
Yeah, that's a good. That's definitely a good default thing to default to. There is the fact that Bone Crusher Giant is a red permanent, so that would help post a Johnny flip.
Same with Blood Moon. Remember that he's still on the battlefield. That's all going to be doing a lot of the work right now.
Okay, red permanent is definitely not the issue here. But yeah, holding back the flyer here is quite awesome, and looks like a pretty clean chum block.
Gives us another draw step. Another lightning bolt would obviously be great. Cat also flips a Johnny, which is currently another lightning bolt in itself.
Yes.
And one more life. Not that one life is going to matter too much at the minute. So big top deck here for Oscar. Are we just firing it off end of turn? A ring would be huge here.
Exactly, and this is why you want to use your mana now.
Get rid of the blocker.
You could draw a 4-drop, so you want to get rid of your
5,
your stuff.
6, 7. This is lethal. 6 power on the battlefield, plus the Ajani tick up will be 3 creatures. That's another 3 damage. Go to the dome. That's going to be 8 damage. As long as life totals are correct, Oscar is going to take this game down, clutching it from the grasp of death.
So let's see here. Bonecrusher Giant's 4 power attacker. Guide of Souls 1 power attacker.
Subtlety doesn't do anything. Yeah, Oscar's going to take this one down. Again, one step closer to getting in that final.
The flying counters from the Guide of Souls was so clutch at buying exactly enough time, and Oscar planned this ahead of schedule because it would also flip his Ajani.
Mm-hmm.
So making that into the blocker, yeah, that was huge.
It's so well played, but Oscar's been doing this for years.
Yes.
He's such a good player. Every time I watch him, he's always doing well. I've actually seen him take down one tournament. Am I going to see him do a second one here? It's going to be interesting to find out. We can have a look at their sideboards, though. Going on to this one, though, what cards are we going to bring in here on Oscar's side to shore up this game number 2 and get him in the final?
Yeah, so for me, the name of the game is the Frog. That's the only card that gave Johannes a chance this game, so I want to add more cards that actually deal with the Frog. I don't want that fail rate. So the Static Prison and the Chain to the Rocks are very, very welcome additions after sideboard here. I will say some of the damage-based removal spells in the deck, like Galvanic Discharge, maybe Bonecrusher's okay because it's a creature, Lightning Bolt can go to the face, but I'll be looking to cut some damage-based stuff for simply just clean exile removal.
Okay, well, let's go across on the other side. Dimir, I'm a game down. I'm now going to be on the play, though, against Boros. This sideboard looks like it's got some very good cards in it. Talk me through it. What am I bringing in?
Yeah, so I'm looking at these 3 copies of Toxic Deluge. That's just going to be amazing. That's something Oscar has to respect. I love the Blood Chief's Thirst, cheap 1-for-1 removal. I might consider my second Cling to Dust versus a Flage deck. And it's pretty clear for me that you don't want, like, your counterspells and your Force and Negations do not excel in this matchup. So I'll be cutting some, situational counters and tempo heavy counters for simply just good catch up cards and cheap removal.
And of course, this is open deck list. So both Oscar and I forgot the name.
Johannes.
Johannes. I both know exactly what they are playing and up against, and that's why we saw Oscar Christian playing around those spell snares really well in game 1 because he's fully aware that there's 3 copies in there.
That is exactly a very great point. Joel and I have been talking throughout the weekend about what hidden information can do, and you have to give your best guess. But now it's actual knowledge, right? Now you know how many copies of spell snares in the opponent's deck. So this is my first round with open deck list. So yeah, very very good to remember.
All right, players got their own in hands. Looks like we are keeping it over on Dimir's side, but Oscar not happy with it. He's going to throw it back.
Yeah, shipping it back.
And I actually like this. I've seen Oscar Mulligan a lot this weekend. He really understands this deck and what key cards he needs to have.
Yep.
He's very disciplined on, he's willing to mulligan.
Yep.
I was speaking about it earlier on with Simon. I think that's a skill I still need to learn more.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever learn it enough, is knowing when you should be throwing mulligans back, looking at the opening hand. I remember reading an article that I think Brad Nelson wrote years and years ago about with your opening 7, if you don't draw any more cards for the rest of the game, what can you do with this opening 7 cards? Can you win the game with just these 7 cards? Like, what do your first 3 turns look like?
Yeah.
And if it's do nothing, you probably don't want that hand.
That's interesting. It's funny. I these days I'm actually focusing on that a lot as well, but I'm also focusing on the potential of the hand. So that's like, over the next 4 or 5 turns, what's the average draw, and how am I doing in that position? So basically, if I can delay the game a little bit, you can make up for not having the best opener, but you can kind of catch up later. But I do agree, mulliganing is a very very tough skill, and I'm probably right there with you, and need to improve on it a little bit.
Right, let's have a little look over on Oscar's side. Is this a keepable 6? Who do you want to win, chat? Who do you want to see in the finals? Boros Energy get the 1s going. 2s for Dimir Merc side. I want to know. And while you're at it, you might as well tell me, if you were playing this weekend, what deck would you be playing in a modern tournament post-ban of Nardu and Grief, as we are off to the races here, starting off with a card that was banned at one point.
It was. Preordain was banned. I remember playing the Ad Nauseam combo decks with Sleight of Hand and Serum Visions.
Ad Nauseam? You bad. But I was happy to play against him. I was an Infect player. I was like, I've got the buy this round. This is great.
Yeah, definitely some bad interactions between like Phyrexian Unlife and having a lot of poison counters. That didn't exactly work. But yeah, those were the days where the Cantrips were not impressive, to be fair. But now we see Preordain enter a Modern, and we see Ponder being unrestricted in Vintage for months ago, and the formats are doing just fine.
Yeah, I think they're doing like the bans have been interesting. It's nice that it's clearly shaking up the format as we have 8 different decks in this top 8 today. A couple of brews as well. I think that's my story of it. There's some really cool brews. People are experimenting, coming to a big tournament like this 2-dayer, and able to get themselves in the top 8, put up a really good showing, get themselves an RC invite. I'm excited to see what they bring to the RC in only a few months' time.
Yeah, definitely a big mark on their calendar after this weekend. The Merfolk player that lost the quarterfinals, and the Samwise Samji? Yeah, that's the name.
Gamgee, Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, Samwise Gamgee. That those two in particular in the brew section was so cool to watch.
Right, how can we respond over here on Oscar's side? Looks like we're going to try to take this frog out. We're respecting how powerful this can be.
Yeah, so this is a cool one because this exact scenario I saw earlier today. Oscar, he places removal spell before the next land drop to conceal information. So now Johannes basically has to give a guess to what's going to happen next. And Oscar can really punish with either a Static Prison or a second copy of Galvanic Discharge.
So we're going to discard Subtlety, and we're going to discard the Sink.
Yep.
Growing it to a 3/4. Now, if it is follow-up White Source into a Static Prison, that would be backbreaking. It would be like Forced Negation check, which is another 2 cards if it was to happen here. Yeah,
definitely. Let's see what Oscar follows up with here.
I think I saw an Aether Hub in hand, so I think we do have access to White. I'm not sure if we've got the Prison. Yes, we definitely have the Prison. I can see it now. Oscar in the tank, though.
Yep. Trying to get a little bit of a read here if Johannes is holding a Force Negation here and trying to see if he can find a better spot for it. Maybe Oscar has one more damage-based removal and is looking to extract as much.
Yeah, exactly. He is. Okay.
Exactly this scenario. He's trying to extract as much value out of Johannes here for keeping the frog. So I just assume Oscar said, okay, I'll turn this Galvanic Discharge into a hyper-charged Mind Rot, and then next turn I'll just Static Prison the frog after just getting one hit in, which is acceptable.
There's still a little bit of information to be gained here, though, right? Because Oscar did used to have to use the energy from Aether Hub to cast that. Where if it was just if he was able to do it next turn, they would have had the 7 energy, which means the hand wouldn't have been discarded. So really cool how that played out. We'll get hit with this Psychic Frog though, which means another card drawn.
Yep.
Which draws another frog.
Second copy of Psychic Frog, which is very bad news for Oscar because he used a lot of resources here, blood, sweat, and tears. Even took a hit from a frog in order to fight it. But I think the one Static Prison is, for sure getting played here. And then it's up to Oscar to find a solution for the second frog.
I see Prison, I think double Guide of Souls, Raptor, maybe Lightning Bolt. Maybe it's a ring.
A Raptor could be anything these days.
That is true, especially with this much energy.
Yep.
And we're going to fire off this Static Prison right now while the shields are down, no cards in hand. Let's get that big 6/7 frog out of here. Just leaving with trying to move the dice across. Yeah, I'll just put the 5 over here. Ravager style.
Which one are you targeting? Oh, yeah, modular style, yeah.
End of turn, crack. This is going to be the Surveil, which have had a huge impact themselves, from a standard card, really making an impact on all these formats that have fetches. Yep. How is it in Vintage?
In Vintage, there's a debate whether you should run one in exactly Doomsday. Other than that, it doesn't see play.
Okay.
So it's on the table, let me put it that way. But that's still a very high bar to clear, so it's impressive.
Arguably the most powerful format we have in Magic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's crazy. And if Surveil lands are even on the radar of that format, it shows how powerful they're going to be in the other formats that we currently have. Surveil, top card. Do we like it? Looks like we do like it.
Also worth mentioning is Oscar missed his 3rd land drop here.
Yeah, currently cut off white mana. And this is the power of the frog, right? It is this, we've ditched a hand, but we've already
Yep.
drawn, what, through 2 cards now? 3 cards?
This is the second draw trigger. So for now, Oscar's ahead on resources, but it's not going to take more than one more hit for Johannes to be ahead in the driver's seat, I will say.
Looks like we're going to use white mana yet again.
Yeah, as long as you have that energy reserve that those 2 galvanic discharges provided, Aether Hub is kind of a dual land here.
Really do need that 3rd land drop, though. That will enable us to double spell each turn. But we're going to just start off with an Ajani, which means that you're going to have to start exiling cards from that graveyard if you want to connect with the frog.
Yeah, and that is not something you can do just tons of turns in a row. You kind of have to pick your spots, but I think it's worth it at this point. Oh, here comes...
Orcish Bowmaster, that's going to take out the cat token, and this is where it gets like dicey. Normally it's auto flip. Yeah, sure, I'll just flip my Ajani. But in this scenario, if we flip it, it's just going to die anyway. We're going to attack everything, so it's not even worth the flip. It's better off as a 1-2 holding off these this orc, and it's a mass.
Yeah, I actually had a cool situation recently with a Johnny where in Vintage Cube I needed my opponent to flip it so my Ghost Fire Slice would be a 1-mana card so I could win.
That's Ghost Fire Slice.
It's a Modern Horizons 3 card that gets, it's like a char that gets discounted by 2 if your opponent has a multicolored permanent.
Oh, yeah.
I needed my opponent to click the yes in order to finish the job, and luckily they did, because, I mean, what could possibly be the punishment for flipping your Planeswalker?
Right, consider that's going to fit an island in the graveyard. Don't want that. Get a fresh look. I think we drew another Orcish Bowmaster, especially if we're attacking with these 2.
Yes, I was about to say, if Johannes sends the team here, it's definitely sending a signal that I have another Bowmaster, so go ahead and block with that Ajani.
I also love, like, sometimes I'll just do this, even if I don't have it. Just make my opponent... Sometimes, like, look, especially at this high level, you respect it from these players. It's not an attack that someone would make if they didn't have it. Early on in tournaments, yeah, sure, sometimes, you know, you almost give the benefit of the doubt. But in this, you really have to respect it. Oscar's like, no, I'm making you have it. Play it if you've got it. Boom, shoot it again. Grow the Orca mass. It will trade with one of these Orc tokens. But we're going to grow the frog as well before damage. So by everything's said and done, that'll be 4 damage connecting to the face, dropping Oscar down to 9. One more card going to the grip.
Did Oscar block the Bowmasters?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he just fast forwarded the.
Oscar's very good at shortcutting.
Yeah,
he's very good at shortcutting. He but he's also very he verbalizes it very well. Like it's not like his opponent's ever like, what's going on? He's like, no, he's very in the zone.
Yep.
Think we found a 3rd land drop. Is it going to be too late?
That is a good question, because we're post the 3rd frog hit, which is just very advantageous for Johannes. Let's see.
We can go Guide the Souls into Raptor.
Yes, we can, and we probably have to go back to the Raptor could be anything statement and see if that can come true here.
By anything, do you mean Flage? I'm calling it now. Flage off the top.
Okay, that's a good call. I think he'll find another Static Prison.
All right, let's have a little look. Top cards. Let's go the old Pseudo Cascade. It's another Raptor. It's not as good, but it's going to get us a bit more energy. It's going to gain us another life, another bit of energy, and more importantly, we've got a 2/1 first striker. So this Orca Mass token can't be turned sideways anymore, or even more.
Yeah. So the game slows down a little bit here, and
Murktide in hand.
Oh, a Murktide Regent is definitely what the doctor ordered here for Johannes.
Do we have enough cards to give the frog flying and play it, though?
Yeah, it looks like we have...
Yeah, we got a bunch in there.
We have plenty in there, and with the window closing soon for Oscar, it's fine that Johannes is running out of cards here. He's putting up a very dominant board position.
Well, I think we can make it into a 2-turn clock here, right? If we can connect with the frog once this turn, play the Murktide next turn, we have lethal, we're going to have, make Oscar have the answer. It needs to be Static Prisons. It needs to be a Galvanic Discharge, something to get it off the battlefield.
Maybe something like, start with some, the One Ring action is also a possible way out of this. But that would require
another land.
Yeah, and we don't have perfect information about Oscar's hand, though, so let's see.
What's that card we've drawn? That's hard. Something if I'm not, don't know what it is.
It's the Blood Chief's Thirst.
Oh, that's why I didn't see it. Blood Chief's Thirst. Yep. Nice little one of out the sideboard. Get the Guide of Souls off. That's the way of us gaining more life.
Looks like Johannes is able to keep 2 cards in the yard, which is a pretty convenient number, I'll say, when it comes to, giving the frog flying once more, or at least threatening to. Blood Chief's Thirst being less, you can say, poor man's Fatal Push, but sometimes it's better because it can also kill Planeswalkers and, 5 drops, basically.
Used to kill red and sixes mostly.
Oh, yeah.
That was the big one for it.
Yeah, that is true. Very, very potent to kill an opposing planeswalker for just one black mana.
Isn't it crazy that we don't see a 2-mana planeswalker that's basically, one of the more powerful cards we've seen in recent times? At the minute, it's not even playable in Modern.
Yeah, it's definitely a niche card. I think I featured it at once or twice yesterday out of some Umnath type decks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's more fringe. I remember when Yorion was legal in Modern. That was my deck of choice, and Ren and 6 was just a delight.
Flage. How does that change the math here? That's going to take us up to 10 life.
Yeah.
Shoot the frog, which means discard this to keep it around.
Yeah, a little lightning helix action.
So 1, 2. We give it flying that makes the Murktide 10 power. Yeah, that's just lethal, right? Yeah, we're going to go game 3.
Yeah, because as we talked about numerous times throughout the weekend, Psychic Frogs exile 3 cards from the yard can grow the Murktides as if those cards weren't, good enough already.
All right, well, we're leveling up here. 1 at a piece. Maybe we can have a look one more time at these sideboards. Is there anything going to change play draw dependent?
I highly doubt it, but there are going to be some play patterns within the game where, a card like Spell Snare is a card that can buy back tempo. The card Counterspell is most likely not even in the deck, but the threat of it at least is going to be one more turn away. So Oscar has the chance to get a little bit under the Dimir deck here, being on the play.
Looking at the opening hands, do we like what we've got? I see 5. There's the 6th. This is a frog. That's the other land that we needed.
Yep.
Looks like a keep for me, but I'm not down there. I'm not on the tables.
Also worth noting, the Force of Negations are actually in the deck, so Johannes really respects, especially the rings, but also like poorly for him timed Blood Moon, and likes tapping out in general and still having interaction. So
it's still got quite a few targets, you know what I mean? Goblin Bombardment, Stomp, Lightning Bolt, Galvanic Discharges, Stack Prisons, and that's just in the main. Depending on what else that came out of the board, which you must suspect there must be like a Soul Guide Lantern, maybe Chains to the Rocks, even Unlicensed Hearse. So
yeah, the Hearse is a maybe. I actually think I saw Oscar bring it in earlier. It's kind of a weird card because sometimes it prevents your opponent from ever playing Murktide Regent, but we actually saw on stream earlier that the opponent just played a turn 3 Murktide Regent anyway through the Unlicensed Hearse turn 2, which is quite impressive. So definitely Psychic Frog is one hell of a card at enabling all sorts of stuff.
No turn 1 play here for Oscar, though, so that means that we are going to go surveilling, try and set up the top of our deck. Hopefully it's a card we want to draw or a Flage. Flage, it's always nice when you get a surveil landed to a Flage into your graveyard, right?
Oh, yeah. That is almost as nice as hitting the Atraxa or Gristlebrand out of the Goryo's deck.
Yeah, I saw that once walking across around the tables earlier. It just went turn 1, surveil.
Yeah.
Gristlebrand in the graveyard, turn 2, just brought it back. I went, oof, okay, rough.
Yeah.
Galvanic Discharge, not what we want though, so we're going to put that in the graveyard. Looking for a little bit of action here. What is going to be our follow-up play with, of course, Spell Snare being active right now?
It actually looks like Oscar has the Unlicensed Hearse, but now he thinks, oh, but this is Mr. Spell Snare I'm playing against. But he goes for it anyway.
I don't mind getting this one Spell Snared. If it resolves, great. If it doesn't resolve, yeah, it's not going to do too much, but it is going to chip away every turn. I'd rather play it on turn 2 than turn 4.
Yep, that is a good point. You want that card in play as early as possible, and if you get it late, it might not be that good after all. So not much to lose here, but a ton to win, basically, if the opponent does not have a Spell Snare.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how we're going to shape this moving forward.
The fetch basically tells us that there's some response available.
Which we may consider.
Okay, so responding with consider here is interesting. We have Force of Negation, but we might get if we surveil away a card, we might get a worse blue card to pitch. So we basically keep our options open by cantering in response. I think the intention is to either ignore the graveyard entirely here and try and ride Psychic Frog to victory, or, force to negate it and open. Okay, yeah. So option number 1 it is.
Gotta remember, these Unlicensed Husks can be threats by themselves.
Yep.
If you can leave it on the battlefield long enough, it gets so many cards under it, turns into a 2/2, a 4/4, a 6/6, an 8/8, a 10/10.
That is true, and nothing to scoff at, because 10 turns from now we could be looking at a 15/15 Unlicensed Hearse getting in there for lethal.
Do these games normally get slower post sideboards?
Yeah, I'll say so, because the Toxic Deluge, they change everything, right? They change the dynamic of the game, because Oscar cannot just, step on the gas well, he can, but the risk is simply too high. So it's going to be slow and steady wins the race here, trying to have, a long perspective of things rather than, short term, trying to randomly tempo out your opponent. So yeah, these games are going to be longer on average for sure.
All right, let's see how this is going to pan out here. Oscar still got a land drop for the turn if he wants to go that route. First, we're going to start off with a Raptor, though. No extra energy if it does resolve.
Yeah, there's a little bit of fail rate here with the Raptor.
Keep flipping cards until we find one of CMC 2. Well, until we find any. If it's CMC 2 or less, we can play it. Yeah. Land. Blood Moon cannot play it.
Yeah. Actually, interesting to see. I guess with open deck lists, Oscar saw that Johannes is not playing basic Swamp, and I could see that being the tiebreaker for whether Blood Moon is worth it or not. If the Dimir Murktide deck plays basic Swamp, I think there's too many fail rate cases for Blood Moon, but
I think if we had more energy this turn, if we had the third energy, we would have seen the land drop first as well, which give us the the response to a Blood Moon coming down, so we can crack it while it's on the stack.
Yeah, great interaction here. If we actually had that ability, Oscar would have played the land first. So
it's just again skill of knowing this deck, knowing how to sequence what we need to sequence and what we can hit, what we can't hit. Really, really good at this. Here comes the Orcus Bowmaster though, another powerful 2-drop. Are we going to crew the Hearst here in response, though?
So let's see. This is before Johannes has made a land drop. So if you crew the Hearst, it's all of a sudden susceptible to Bloodchief's Thirst, Fatal Push, stuff like that. So since we're not blocking this turn, there's no need to expose it like that.
See that the grip there might even have double force in it now.
Yeah, I think I saw a second copy of Force of Negation, and it's quite interesting that Johannes' game plan is to simply say, nice graveyard hate you got there, but I have a frog and a ton of counters.
Here comes the Seville. It's really interesting. Normally when you play against blue decks and they tap out, you're like, great, I can resolve my spell. Yep. Not these days. Not with forces, not for subtleties.
Those were the days where Modern had no free spells. I played blue Scapeshift, so a tapped out blue opponent was very, very good news.
Just GG's.
Yeah, very good news for me.
End of turn, surveilling on Oscar's side. Gonna see if we can hit that Flage in there. We do have an Arena of Glory on the battlefield. Almost be ideal if we can find our 4th land drop after flipping the Flage. You'd have to be a fetch, though, because we've only got 4 cards in our graveyard.
4 cards in the graveyard currently. That's a great point. We need to grow that graveyard in order to escape Flage. Let's see.
Does he like it? He's in the tank. Always thinks about every line, every turn. Even the ones that seem obvious to most people, it really goes through every option. And that's what stands you out from being a good player to a great player.
I agree, and Oscar has definitely developed into a great player. I've known him since he was like 12 years old. He turned up to his first GP. He actually did well in his first GP. He was 65th, but the cut was 64. But thankfully, he got super motivated by it, and fast forward, and here he is in another semifinals doing well at Nordic Masters.
Also, just a great guy. Like I love hanging out with him. He's so cool. I'm actually learned this weekend he's going to be going to Vegas as well, so I can hang out with him in Vegas. This is going to be cool.
Yep. Definitely great company.
Here comes the one ring, though. Force negation check.
Looks
slammed.
Just like Johannes drew it up here with the Force of Negation, and now he has a choice to make. Okay, he's hanging on to the second copy. It makes sense with the cards, they keep flowing with the frog, so you just want to, the biggest wall of counter spells you can imagine.
Untap. Draw for the turn. Still no blockers. Going to leave this Psychic Frog out there. And that's one of the risks, right, of tapping out 4 mana for the ring.
Oh, yeah.
If it resolves, Frog's not going to draw more cards. If it doesn't, this Frog is going to draw, basically replenish the extra card that we lost for that Force Negation.
Yeah.
But Oscar wasn't aware Force Negations would still even be in the deck as we go into game 3.
No, he wasn't sure about that, but now he got the nasty news. Also now I think Johannes is calculating, is there any meaningful math I can put together that leads to me discarding to the frog, or am I just happy, playing it as an Ophidian, as I call it?
Yeah, I think we just turn this sideways. We're playing for the long game here. There's no 2-turn clock. That's I think relevant at this point. We've got fail pushes, we've got counter spells, we've got all our mana. Why give an opportunity to Oscar here? We're definitely looking like we're in the driving seat.
Yeah, the thing is, the opportunities can also be the number of draw steps that Oscar has available in this game, and if we can close that window while still having relevant protection, if we can kind of find a middle ground there, I think that's at least what Johannes is considering right now.
I mean, so that our Thomas has molded it down to 5 in game, 3 in our backup feature match, but it is a great 5-card hand. So we've got Simon down there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, keeping an eye on everything, giving us live updates of how that game is going.
Yeah, Simon with doing the nitty-gritty out on the floor while we are cruising in here. The perfect team, really.
Yeah, we got these nice comfy seats in here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm an old man these days. I need to sit down. Land drop. Is it just going to be a pass? Looks like it is going to be a pass, but end of turn we're going to eat that forced negation in the graveyard, meaning the hearse can be powered up to a 4/4 creature.
So Murktide Regent is in Johannes' hand, but it can be quite complicated to resolve it through a hearse. Mm-hmm. And also there's the flexibility of it being blue, and he has a forced negation, so yeah.
Another one ring coming down. We know about that second force.
Yeah, we both had the same feeling when that card was cast. We knew it wasn't going to end well for Oscar.
It's rough. It's like one of those, like forced negation in some matchups. It's just, you're going to think, why did I keep this card in my deck?
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible, and Oscar's going to think the same. But in this scenario, it's just lined up so well to what Oscar's trying to do.
Yep.
That it's almost backbreaking in this situation, especially because we can hardcast it.
So the interesting thing I just realized is every time I talk about like some situational cards really working well, there's a Psychic Frog on the table. Maybe that is a reoccurring theme to
Some
these.
say that's the best creature in Modern.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think that's up for debate. I think it's more of the all-time I'm interested in.
So, to be fair, no one gave us a better card. They said Lewis, but that's not currently in Modern. So
no, okay. So if you said Modern, sure, then I don't think it's a contest. Actually, then
do you think just in Magic in general?
Yeah,
Whew.
yeah. I'm talking about the best creature of all time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tweet that one out. See how that goes.
Yeah, I'll try and gather some more data. But yeah, Deathrite Shaman, Psychic Frog, Lurrus. It's the short list right now.
Exile 2 more cards end of turn, as we are going to untap here. That's 2 cards in the graveyard, 4 land. A fetch land would let us play a Murktide if we want to go that route.
Yeah, so the thing is, Psychic Frog, even just discarding a card, lets us play Murktide if we want to. And Oscar, he was, for the first time this game, proactive with the hearse because of the fact that Murktide is looming here. So this turn, Murktide will see the battlefield if Johannes desires.
Scry 2, draw 1. So if we like that, it looks like we've got a couple of cantrips in our hand.
Yeah, and we like those when we're trying to go Murktide Regent.
When I say cantrip, what do I mean by cantrip? For people that maybe don't know what that is.
So cantrip is basically a magic card that replaces itself, and cantrips, most of them have some kind of selection to them. So whether it's Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm, Consider, but even just, I would argue that cycling a Cling to Dust at end of turn is kind of like a cantrip, because sometimes the point is just, get to a spell or get to a land. So keep the wheels churning a little bit, and Preordain sure is a good cantrip.
We are turning and burning right now, filling that graveyard up with a few more sorceries, which inevitably could turn into a big Murktide. We've got the subtlety. We found that off one. I think we might find double subtlety, actually. So subtlety that we can ditch the subtlety. We're going to discard this fatal push.
Yeah, it's funny to point at your Psychic Frog with a fatal push, but not the way that Oscar wanted it.
Are you telling me that Psychic Frog is better than Colossal Chainmaw?
Okay, that's close. I'll have to
What about Stormcrow?
expand.
What about Stormcrow?
Okay, it's in my top 5.
Okay, there you go. Sweet.
So now we rounded out the top 5.
We just made sure. So here comes the Delve. That means that this Murktide is going to grow into a 6-powered flyer, which is a 1-turn clock. Next turn, Oscar's going to need something good. We've seen 2 rings cast, which means there's only 1 left in the deck. Is that going to be the saving grace? Is it even good in this spot?
Yeah. From where I'm sitting, the One Ring is Oscar's only out, because if he had a lot of, efficient spot removal, they would have been cast already. That's simply just the logic. You don't want to let a Psychic Frog run rampant. So at the most, there's going to be 1 Static Prison in Oscar's hand, and that's just not going to be enough against this board. So let's see. Amped Raptor could be anything. Let's see. What can Oscar spike here? I guess he doesn't even get the chance because of subtlety. Subtlety gets pitched here, and what do you know? The pitch spells basically.
There's the handshake.
Yeah, the pitch spells took it home. Will argue, backed up by the frog, or vice versa, is very important for that sentence.
It just seems that every time I see a turn 2 frog that goes unchecked, the game just runs away with itself.
Yep.
It's such a good card, so hard to answer.
Yep.
Yet here we are. It's now going to be in the finals, but what is it going to be against? I think that game... Oh, it looks like Thomas took the game. I've just been told there in chat. Samwise combo turn free kill against Ruby Storm.
Wow.
So the finals is going to be Dimir Frogtide versus our Amelia combo, Samwise combo deck.
Yep.
The brew of the talk of the town.
Yep.
Since Friday, has been putting up good results. Is it going to take this down? Are we going to crown that deck? And Thomas, Nordic Masters 2024 champion. You got to stick around to find out, because we're going to have a short break, get those players ready, and we'll be coming back momentarily. So on that one, hit the follow button. Might as well follow us. Why not? Go hit, follow us. Go get yourself a cup of tea. Go to the toilet. Come back in about 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll bring you that final. So don't go anywhere. See you shortly.